So, welcome to Shmuel's University. After seeing the level of American universities, he decided that we need to give American students or other people better education. So, we're going to be we're going to talk about Franz Werfel's The 40 Days of Musa Dag. It's a novel about the Armenian Genocide. For those of you who do not understand what genocide means, it is not the killing of terrorists that happen to be 20% of the world population and have only increased in number, but it's a murder of a minority where their number greatly decreases by a majority. Okay, so the name originally was published by Franz Werfel. Is a Jewish writer born in Prague in 1890, and he published this book in 1933, a very interesting date. As we know, it was the time when the Nazis came into power in Germany and Austria, so, afterwards in Austria as well, where he lived. He moved to Vienna, and then he had to leave again and finally ended up in California, in Beverly Hills. He died in 1945. So this book was published in 1933. It was called Die 40 Tage des Musa Dag. And it talks about the deportation, the concentration camps, and the massacre of the Armenian people. He did a lot of research, and he himself served in the Austrian army in World War I. It was conceived in 1929. During the course of his stay, he traveled through the Middle East, and he was inspired to write this book after he was in Damascus, Syria now, and he saw the miserable sight of maimed and famished-looking refugee children working in a carpet factory, and he gave him the final impulse to write about the destiny of the Armenian people. And one of these quotes, in the book, it says, Mr. Morgenthau said Enver brightly, is a Jew, and the Jews are always fanatically on the side of minorities. And we need to acknowledge this because it's true. Franz Werfel was a Jewish person, and he's writing about the genocide of the Armenian people when the Jewish people are just about to undergo a Holocaust, a genocide as well. And he revised the book because he was influenced by the time. But how interesting that he wrote, a Jewish person writing a book in 1933 about Armenians. How many Muslim writers or Arab writers or Palestinian writers do you know that wrote about the pain and suffering of anybody, ever, except themselves? And also, how in the world is the massacre of October 7th turned around completely, and instead of a majority, 99.9% of the Middle East is controlled by Muslims, or 20% of the world population, and 0.001% of the Middle East has 0.001% of the world population. The Jews are 14 million. Half of them 7 million live in Israel, and we have 2 million Muslims as well. We have about 75% Jews and 24, percent Muslims in Israel, Arabs, and a bit of Christians. But in the entire Middle East, there is no other place where Jews and Arabs live together. Muslims and Jews live together, except right now in Gaza there's Jewish hostages. So that's the only place where Jews and Arabs art together, but